Peace, everyone. As an I, welcome to another episode 6 of the Throne Room. Okay, so today I have my trusty friend here, Angel, and today I want us to talk about Black women and friendships. I feel like it's really important for us to talk about this, especially if we're talking about coming together, unifying as a Black nation. If we're talking about healing the Black family, I feel like friendships is also a part of healing the Black family because, again, my I think our concept of family goes beyond the nuclear family, right? So it's your friends, your sisters, your cousins, aunties, uncles, everybody, right? So in general, we have a problem in our community amongst us. You know, we have trust issues. We have self-esteem issues that plays into our friendships. So I feel like it's really, really important that we discuss a lot of these different things and get to the nitty gritty of trying to solve this problem. So if you're here and you love the content, please like the video and go ahead and share it out to your friends. Share. And don't forget to subscribe. Okay. So, if you want, Angel, you can definitely introduce yourself as we always do. Start with introductions. Let everyone know who you are. And then we can dive into the topic.
Alrighty. Monet, everyone. My name is Angel. Let's see. I feel like I give the same spiel about myself every time, but I guess what else? You know. So I am a nation builder, an entrepreneur, a mother, an artist, a fiance, and many things. Um, I'm also a YouTuber as well, but uh, uh, you know. I'm
Yeah.
having a crisis. I'm having a quarter life crisis with YouTube. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, we know how that is. Um, but yeah, so the goal of today is to actually start to break down and reestablish some girl code because I think a lot of what contributes to our problems is everyone thinking that they are following the unspoken rules, but some of us have a different perspective or perception of what those rules are. What is proper etiquette within, uh, within friendships.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start into that, I just want to start with the common issue that a lot of women are having is making friends as they are adults. Because I personally think that it's much easier to make friends when you are in school. When you're in grade school, you're put around people, you have activities that they put you in that like requires you to work with other people. So same thing all the way up until high school and even college. Even though college does require some more independence, there's still activities that you can participate in and get to know new people. But I think after we all separate from school and activities, we end up living our lives, having families, getting into business, and then we tend to separate. So now when women are trying to make friends, like, let's say in their 30s, outside of school, it is a difficult thing. So, what do you think is causing the issue there?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely think that is the biggest factor for sure. It's just like we were around so many people in a very small place. Um, throughout, you know, elementary school up into high school or even college. So that's definitely a huge part of it. I also think in my experience, and also because I watch a lot of like girls trips gone wrong story times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just just listening to other women. Like I feel as we become adults, money gets involved. Um, you know, people has like one huge thing, for example, that I notice is that a lot of women have been conditioned to center men,
Mhm.
especially the older that we get, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of women, once they get into a relationship, their partner like consumes their entire life. Um, to the point where it's more difficult to have girls' nights out and spend time with your friends, or um, like really pour into a friendship the way that you used to be able to when you were a maiden, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so I think that's the big part. Like I said, I think shit just gets more serious. Like, for example, well, because the thing is making friends, not why we fall out with friends. But I do feel like the
Hmm.
same issues can kind of apply of like when you're getting to know someone and you're trying to get to the point of considering them your friend. I feel like there's more shit that can go wrong. There's more things that y'all can disagree on and not see eye to eye to. um, People develop a stronger sense of like principles and boundaries that they're not willing to compromise just for the sake of having friends or having a large friend group. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, there was this particular this particular video where I saw where these friends were arguing, and they, like people do, they go to social media and be like, "Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong," right? And she was mad at her friend because they had went out to a lounge or a club together, and the her friend wanted to leave with a guy she just met. And she felt like that was wrong for her to be like, why would you leave? Like, why would you leave me for a guy you just met? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like the issue of like women who are centering of men, I think it does create a dichotomy of men are here and women are here. So everything they do is kind of like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's like one of my closest childhood friends that ended up being like one of, like, before we fell out, there was like a series of back to back disagreements that we got into, and two of them was based off of her. It was many more, but those last two were based off of her doing shit like that,
Mm,
Um, yeah, like I personally have always felt like just how I was raised. If y'all come together, y'all leave together. Especially
mm,
if you don't have a way of like verifying that that person made it home safely. You're supposed to watch them get in the door before you pull off, that
mm,
type of stuff. So I feel like to go out with y'all friends, at night, or like, and then to just leave with a random nigga that you just met is like, no. Like, first of all, I'm not really trying to fuck with nobody that like to run off with random niggas they just met anyways. But then to like completely up and like abandon what we were doing, like I personally feel like that's weird.
mm. I agree. Same thing with a lot of girls who, like, even if they are hanging out with friends, they feel like the night isn't fun unless, like, even if the group of friends is a group, but they feel like the night isn't fun if they don't start interacting with men out, like, getting men to come and buy them drinks and sit and talk with them. Like, why can't you just talk to your friends? Like, why you out?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's one of those things where the value is lacking. So I think it stems from within, like the value within themselves is lacking. So therefore, they value other women less as
Hmm.
well. So
Exactly. I
yeah.
think that there's like, it reminds me of this video that I saw of, it was like this girl explaining how she prefers to have male friends over female friends, but the reason she was giving was because, like, as she started speaking deeper, these weren't genuine male friends. These were men that wanted to like sleep with her. So
Mm-hmm.
they would like flatter her, buy her a bunch of stuff, like that type of thing. And so she was comparing that to women, like, oh, women don't do this, women don't do that. First of all, I've always been in friend groups where we trick on each other. Like, so I don't know what you're talking about. Secondly, I feel like I just feel like that's a very shallow perspective of like you're swapping out potentially quality friendships just to get the flattery and money of men that really want to fuck you, but you kind of just friend zone them, you know?
Mm.
Um, so I'm just saying that to say I feel like it just reminds me of that type of person that substitutes, like females are just placeholders for the night. Like
Yeah.
we're going out, but I know in the back of my mind that these bitches are just here to be look good until I can find a target. you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. Which makes sense why even if everything is fine and they are your friend until they get in a relationship and then it's like they're swallowed up. It's
I'm
like
dead. Swallowed up.
where'd you go, sis? I haven't seen you. Like, I think as a whole, I think we all need to understand the balance between romantic relationship and platonic relationship. I feel like for me, they're the same level of importance. You know what I mean? So therefore I pour into them in a similar fashion. So, for your birthday or just random gifts. Like, I've bought my friend just cards and flowers before, just cause I missed her. Like, you know what I mean? But I think everyone doesn't put that same like effort into friendships too. I think is because they're worried about, blurring that line between platonicism and romanticism, as in they don't want to be seen as lesbian or gay. So yeah.
Very true. Very true. I think also, yeah, I think some people just view friendships as less valuable in nature than relationships, if that makes sense. Like, I think I get that friendships are different from romantic relationships, but I don't think that friendships cheaper, are meant to be cheaper or more shallow, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think that's why I'm very, very adamant about the friendships that I have and who I give my time and energy to, because it has to be, you know, something deep. I don't know how else to say it. Um, but yeah, I think maybe we can definitely talk about uh the boundaries of platonicism. Like I ended up asking this question in one of these Black women friend groups, and I was asking, what is too close? As in, would you hold hands with your friend? Do you believe in giving your friend a kiss, as in greeting them on the cheek, kiss on the cheek? What about sleepovers? Can you guys sleep in the same bed? What about when you're changing? Do you have to turn around or cover yourself up when you're changing in front of each other? These are things I wonder. And I feel like if you can't do these simple things, I feel like that's what creates that barrier of how close you really want to be with somebody. Because I see friends as like extended family or sisters. So you tell me what you think. Like if those things are too close for friendship.
Um, I don't think they're too close. I definitely don't. I think I usually end up having that type of bond. Like, okay, so I've always been someone who's not very big on like affection. So like I've always had friends that want to like hug me and kiss me, and I'm just like, unhand me right now. And it's not it's not because they're my friends. Like I was even like that like with my family members of like, because I come from a very like cold like family. Like we did not hug each other, kiss each other, all that. Oh, I love you. Like you only see that type of shit at like funerals, like
Mm-hmm.
or that type of stuff. Um, so I'm still kind of like when it comes to affection in general, right?
Yeah.
But I do tend to have close bound like I don't really have barriers in my family, Lord Jesus, friends. So like we'll go in the bathroom together. Like I don't care if they're taking a shit. I don't care if they're like shaving their coochie. Like I don't, we'll just kind of be like hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So I don't mind being close. I do think I'm more vain about my body around other women,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. I think because it's something about the fact that like I may be more insecure that my titties are saggy because her titties are saggy. Like it's more like there's something to compare it to versus when you're with a
Oh
dude.
my
I think.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you need to work on that. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
to work because I'm like, girl, no, please. I think the image of the female body is definitely more appreciated and valued and loved by other women more than anything. Like, I think it's more of like a man thing to kind of look, you know, the visual creature thing, to kind of look and be wondering like, oh, them things is some flatbed jacks is sagging, you know. But I think women have a love for the female body. Most women I speak to, you know, they love the female body. I know I do. So you don't gotta worry about that.
Yeah, I think it's less of the like I don't think that the women are thinking anything.
It's
It's
just
just
your
me
self.
being more. It makes
Yeah.
me more aware or
Okay.
more like yeah.
I
You see what
got
I'm
you.
saying? Yeah, it just makes me more
Yeah.
aware.
Okay. So next we're gonna start the next section where we're gonna start really establishing girl code. Okay. So number one, when it comes to dating and exes, right? A friend is dating someone you used to talk to, but they never asked how you felt about it. How should that be handled?
I think that's weird. I probably stop fucking with them. Off rip. Just because I have the like when I'm friends, like we tell each other literally everything. Like everything
Mhm.
as soon as it happens. Like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
girl, I just took a shit and the toilet was hard to flush. Like literally every update is updated. So for you to just slide past the fact that you just so happen to start dating my ex is like
Mhm.
wild. And that like I feel like you intentionally didn't tell me that, you know? And then it's just weird. Like why out of all these billions of people on the planet, you had to fuck with my ex? Weird.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to that, if they knew you while you were dating said person, to me, it feels like they always had an attraction to that person, right? That's how I would say about that. If they didn't know you, right, while you were with that person, or they just heard you talk about your past, you know what I mean? And they just happened to run into them in the grocery store or something like that, and then they connected and all that. I just feel like you said, the updates of everything would like you wouldn't even gotten to the point of dating your ex at all, because it would have been, oh, I saw such and such, you know, in the supermarket. Ain't that your ex? Like, you know, how was that? How do you feel about that? Um, you know, he sort of flirted with me, you know, and it made me feel this way. Are you okay if we were to move forward in that direction? Like, I feel I am big on
No ho.
loyalty and honor, and I would ask if that's even an issue, and that's how I would want people to deal with me. Like, oh, I ran into such and such, you know, you know, how
Nah,
do you
don't even
feel
ask
about
me no shit
her?
like that. I feel like that's that white people shit. Like, oh yeah, like yeah, Phil used to be married to Sarah, but now he's married to me, and then I used to be married to Bob, but now Bob's married to Jack. Yes, he's bisexual, and Jack is also my cousin. Like, no, bitch. Like, do not even. Oh, is it okay if I fuck on your baby dad? Like, no,
I
no.
no, no, you can definitely say no, but I think in that case, I think the proper protocol, if you were in this scenario, right, is to come to the person first before anything, and just, if you feel so strongly, right? Because at the end of the day, like you said, there's plenty of people that you could date, right? But if you feel so strongly, because there was this one thing, just to let you know how this could happen more realistically. Being on a dating app, I was on a dating app at one point, and I came across a guy who started talking to me. You know, we matched, we was messaging, all that good stuff, and then I'm just like, something about this guy seems familiar. I don't know him, but something about him seems familiar. So again, I spoke to my friend at the time, and I was just like, so I'm talking to this guy, and this is the things he's saying. She's like, wait a second, is his name this? I'm like, yeah, you know him? She was just like, yeah, I dated this guy like years ago, and that was him. You know what I mean? So it wasn't, you know, a thing. And she was just like, oh yeah, he did this, this, and that. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. You know, as soon as she told me that that was her man, I was just like, her ex or whatever. I was just like, okay, scratch him off the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's more like realistic of you just not knowing that that
Hmm.
person is an ex or whatever and coming across, and then something may spark to where it would make sense to go to your friend and talk to them, you know?
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
I think that's definitely different. Like if you just didn't know. But I
Yeah.
think it's weird in general. Like even asking me is weird if you know enough that that's my ex to be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, can I fuck with your ex? Because I just couldn't imagine. Like I can't think of like when I think of like my friends and people that they've been in relationships with. Now I'm not talking about, oh yeah, I swiped right on Tinder on this guy and we had like one date and it didn't go
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. But that's more I can see that. But like somebody that they had a full blown relationship with, had feelings for,
Mm-hmm.
had sex, whatever the case may be. Um, yeah, I just couldn't picture myself even like being in a position to get close enough with my friend's ex to be like,
Right.
and then come to her and be like, oh yeah, let me see about that. Like, I don't know. I just think that that's so weird. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so funny. No, I definitely get you. I feel like once you know, I feel like it's a respect thing.
Hmm.
And in general, I would say this, like, it should be a natural thing to see your friends significant other or boyfriends as brothers. If you see your friend as a sister, so to me, then that crosses the boundary of family in my mind, you know. So therefore, I don't even find them attractive, to be honest with you. You know, because now you're my brother and you're annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't think I've ever found one of my friends like partners attractive. Even if I did, like for example, like me and my cousin, we met this dude at the same time. And when I first seen him, oh, he kind of cute, tall, deep voice, whatever. But once she like slept with him, I don't know if it was like her pheromones mixed with his pheromones or something, but
Mm-hmm.
it just was uh, like like all the like razzle dazzle wore off. So I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel you
Hmm.
on that. So next, okay, money issues. Okay, like you
Mm.
said earlier, when money comes to play.
That should be the biggest, like the friendship killer, bruh.
Okay, so a friend owes you money, right?
Hmm.
And they're avoiding the topic. You value the friendship but feel disrespected. How do you approach getting your money back?
Hey, was you gonna give me my money back? like I'm very blunt.
You're obviously not one of the people that care. Bruh,
No,
got my
I mean
money.
usually I don't care though. It's just so many times in my life where technically my friend was supposed to give me some money back, but like usually once I give my friends money, I don't really expect it back. Like if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, so if I was to give them a large I remember I paid my friend's rent one time because
yeah.
her
Mhm.
check was fucked up. So that type of money I am kind of like,
Right.
like I'm looking like, yeah, I'm not pocket watching, but I'm looking, I'm waiting, given a reasonable time period to be like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what you gonna
yeah.
do?
Seems a little
Yeah,
hefty.
exactly. So once enough time frame comes by, like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah. So when do you plan to, if you like, we could do a payment schedule.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like that is honorable. Like again, I'm also the same way. Like if I give you money, I just give you the money. And people could be like, "Oh, I'm gonna pay you back." I'm like, "It's okay, it's all right." Like I feel like once I tell you here, that's fine. It is not hurting me, right?
hmm.
If I tell you, then I kind of need it back. Like if it's over $1,000 or something, then sure, you know what I mean. And then you can do a payment plan. If I'm aware of your situation, if I know you're still struggling, a week, a month later, 2 months later, then it's not like I'll have an expectation for you to give it back.
Hmm.
I can still see that you're still struggling, right? But if I start to see that you start frivolously spending, then it becomes an issue where, okay, now you're being disrespectful because I'm
Yeah,
here, I can see you. I can see
because
you.
I am like a pocket watcher in that capacity. Like, if you owe me a large lump sum of money
Mm,
and I see you doing anything, like I remember this girl, the when I just said I paid her rent, like I started seeing her buying Crocs. And I was like, what the fuck do you need Crocs for? Like, I'm not saying this out loud because it's not the time yet. It's not the
Yeah.
time that I allotted yet. So, but I am thinking to myself, like, that's interesting. Hmm. I see you buying weed. I see you doing this type of stuff. That's very
Mhm.
interesting. So I will watch that type of stuff.
Yeah. 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 Note to the wise people: if you owe money, pay it back, or just do not feel so entitled that you want to avoid the topic. If that person comes to you, like, you know what I'm saying, if that person comes to you and say, oh, you know, you remember you owe me such and such, be honest.
Oh,
Like,
well,
you
I
know,
want to. I
be
want to
honest.
ask this question. I
Yeah.
want to ask this question because this actually reminds me of something that kind of happened to me kind of recently. If this
Mhm.
person sees this, this is no, because if they hear this, they would know who it is. So it's not no beef or nothing. I'm just genuinely curious to see if I'm weird for thinking like this. So I'm not gonna be too specific. I sent somebody something of value,
Oh,
right? I sent
yeah.
somebody 1,000 tokens, right?
Okay.
And at the time, I like I said, once I send my friend some shit, especially if I'm just doing it on impulse, I don't care for it back. So I sent it, and the person instantly was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you! Like, thank you. I promise you, I'm gonna give that right back to you. I'm gonna give that right back." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. It's okay. I don't care." No,
Mhm.
no, no, no. Like the person pulled their phone out and like looked through their calendar and was like, "No, on this date, I'm gonna give it back to you." And I'm like, "It's fine. I don't want it back, right?" But then like every day after I saw that person for like the next 4 days, they did the same shit. Like every time I saw them, they was like, Angel, I haven't forgotten. I'm gonna give it to you on this date. I'm gonna
Oh,
do it. I'm gonna give
I
it to you.
don't like that.
And I'm like, okay, like whatever. I told you it was cool, but okay. So
Right.
then
Right.
when the day came, the person didn't give it to me. And now I didn't want it back to begin with. But I was thinking to myself, like, is it not weird that the person like stressed so heavily? I'm
Mhm.
going to do this. Like, no, that's just she even went into like, no, it's just my principle. Like, this is how I am. When I do. So it just was like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Like, is that weird or am I tripping?
It is. It is. And I think that's the case of who a person think they are versus who they really are. Like, you know what I mean? Is it really your principle? Like, why would you put yourself in a situation where you can't control just that, right? It's not like do you have a steady job for you to be able to say a day? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have a steady job to be able to tell a person a day, then don't do that. Like, I feel like if you were to give me something and I say I'm gonna pay you back, and you say no, it's okay, I don't care about it, I'll be like, okay, no problem, and I'm gonna keep it to
Mhm.
myself, and then I'll just
Exactly.
naturally give it back to you when I get it, and
Exactly.
surprise, you got your money back, thank you. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how I
Exactly.
would handle it. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna be like, don't worry, like, because it's
And
like
then
you're trying to
every day
prove
after that.
something. It's like you're trying to prove something to yourself more than to me, or to you, I
Hmm.
should say. Like, you're prove something to yourself, and I don't like that.
Yeah, like literally no exaggeration. Like at least a good 4 or 5 days after it, it was like
Mhm.
every time they said, Angel, I'm gonna. Okay, so it's like when it didn't happen, I'm like, I don't care because I didn't want it back. But it was like, things that make you go, those type of
Yeah.
things, you know. So,
Yeah. Okay, so next one is about reputation. So a friend shares your personal business with someone else, thinking it's harmless. How should this be handled?
hmm, I have had that happen to me before,
Mm-hmm.
and
Peace and love, y'all.
I usually don't care that much. Like in situations where I could tell where they genuinely thought it was harmless,
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of like don't really address it. Like I don't really feel no type of way.
Mm-hmm.
I think where I feel some type of way is if the person is like, oh, like like okay, so I'll give you a prime example. So when I first thought I was lesbian, right? And I came out for no reason, mind you. Um like at first before I came out, I just did little like gay shit that you know, like whatever. So I had a person like snitch on me, um, to like one of my very homophobic family members.
Mm,
And that homophobic family member like pulled me aside at literal like Thanksgiving dinner and was like screaming and cussing at me and like hollering at me in front of everybody. It was so embarrassing. And then afterwards, when I confronted that person, like, why the fuck would you tell her? It was like, oh well, like I only said something because I was concerned about you and blah 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 and doo-doo-doo. But it was like one of those things where it's like I don't care how you spin it. There was no reason for you to tell this lady I'm a lint licker, bro. Like there was no reason. There was no logical reason. There was no. Now there was another situation where someone was clearing my name because somebody was
yeah.
like lying on me. So that
Mm,
person spoke up and was like, "No, that's not what happened. This what happened."
right.
So I felt like that was justified and understandable, as opposed to the first one that was like, "No, you just spilled the beans," and like you're trying to like backtrack and make it seem like it was some innocent thing, you know?
Right, right. I think that's what's important is the context of the business
Mm-hmm.
and the business, right? Specific business, who you telling it to and why you're telling it to them. I think all of
Exactly.
that matters. Um, I feel like I've never been in a situation where somebody told my business. Actually, I'm lying. I have been in a situation where somebody told my business. My issue with that is not that you're telling the business, because I'm an open book, but it's making sure that you're telling it right. You know,
Mm-hmm.
don't tell the business and now you told it in a way that's not completely accurate, and now I look my way. Don't do
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, so again, I am a big communicator. So if somebody tells my business, I'm gonna just come to them and talk to them. Like I'm blunt, I'm direct, I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I'm gonna tell you like what made you do that. You know, I'm gonna get some clarity first. What made you do that? And it's gonna give me some more clarity on how you feel about me subconsciously. Like if our friendship is genuine, if you like me, if you have any underlying envy or jealousy or something, like, because I feel like this situation is one of those things where it can reveal that
Mm-hmm.
about that person. So that's how I would do. I would just analyze the situation, see if it was a genuine mistake, see if it's justified, see if the business is harmless. Like, you know, like if I didn't care about the business being out there, that's fine. um yeah, so I'm pretty easygoing, but if it was a problem, I'm a let you know. And I feel like after confronting you, you shouldn't be offended either. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You should just be like, you know what, you're right. That was my bad. I apologize. Little accountability. We can move on from there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I feel like if the intentions were like more malicious than what they're pretending they are, like I just feel like I would fall back personally. Like I would probably like fall back from telling them shit, especially like it's people on this planet that I'd never tell nothing to ever again. I promise you.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So next, loyalty in group settings. Okay. So a group of friends are gossiping, you know, negatively about someone who isn't present, right? Uh, your friend stays silent, you know. What does solidarity look like, you know, when someone's name is being tarnished? Like, what would you want from your friend in that situation? Say they're talking about you, you know, you're not there and your friend is the silent one while people are talking about you. But it's a group of friends. They're all your friends, to be honest.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like I could see it being two routes. Like, okay, so first of all, I grew up the kind of like the old school mentality that I forgot the saying they had for it, but basically, if somebody talking about you to somebody, it's because they feel like comfortable doing it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, and what did you say? One of them type of things, because they not about to sit up there and keep talking shit about me to you, and you're just dead silent, or you're like defending me, you know? Like usually when people feel comfortable to like talk shit about somebody, especially to like really talk shit, it's
Mm-hmm.
because you're doing something to make them feel comfortable to do it. So I
Yeah.
would kind of side eye them like, why the fuck they felt, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But I am a little messy, so I would kind of want my friend to kind of come back and be like, "Ooh, yeah, girl, this is what they were saying. This is what they were saying," you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like if you're gathering intel, then that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just sitting there like being a bystander, then I don't know,
I
weird.
I think it comes in more clear if the situation is you versus another friend who's having a dilemma, right? And the third party of your friendship is neutral, right?
Hmm.
But it is a case of right is right, wrong is wrong. Are you more of that? Or are you more like you should sort of figure out where you stand?
Okay, well, in that case, I do feel like because sometimes I feel like people take telling the truth as gossiping,
Mm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been in friend groups where a person like they were our friend, we loved them, we cared about them, but they did do like some really weird, funny acting stuff. Like some of it borderline, emotional abuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there are times where friends like vent to each other,
Yeah.
you know. So I feel like that's one thing. But I do feel like if you are just disrespecting, talking shit, you know, being two-faced, then like yeah, I feel like a true friend would speak up and tell that person that you're wrong, and that you should have more respect for our friendship bond than that.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that to say y'all like know the difference between people gossiping about you and people just telling the truth about your ass. Like those are two different things, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I think the issue with that is perception because people can be in the same situation and have different perspectives of what happened to where even if they are telling the truth from their perspective, it feels like they're gossiping to you because you can easily just feel like that's not how it happened. You
Hmm.
know, I think that's where the issue comes in. Um, and I think the third party being a part of it is definitely confusing for a lot of people because I think most people want to be neutral, right? But I definitely feel like you should be able to speak your mind and you know and just tell the truth. If you tell the truth outside looking in, it might bring more clarity to the situation from the two parties that's in it. You know what I'm saying? Because it might even help instead of you being quiet. um and then people could probably still remain friends because you came in and was like, well, you're wrong here, I see both your sides, but this is how I think you should move forward. you know be the mediator.
Hmm. Yeah, because I have had to be the mediator a few times of like, in fact, I tend to be in that situation, bro. Like I tend to be the person that's like in the middle of two friends with like extreme opposite personalities. So like oftentimes they'll like vent to me about each other, and I can tell that it's not malicious, but it's more so them like expressing frustration or whatever the case may be. So
Do you ever feel sometimes uncomfortable when two people are venting to you about the you know
yeah, it's very uncomfy. It's extremely uncomfy. Um,
do you
yeah,
feel less loyal to
yeah. Those are things that like I toss around in my mind, like especially if it's a situation where there's not a clear, like there's not disrespect, but there's clear like hurt or frustration,
mm-hmm,
and then also there's not a clear like and precise right and wrong.
mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like it is like a torn feeling of like like I don't want anybody to feel like they can't speak their truth or express themselves, you know but
Yeah.
I don't want to perpetuate something that could be seen as gossiping or hurtful at the same time.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
it does put me in like a divided position, and then I usually have to like re-steer the conversation, or you know, like when things get too crazy, it's like okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's fair, like that type of thing.
Yeah, my thoughts on that is definitely talking to both, hearing both of them out, and assessing what the issue is by hearing them individually, right? And I definitely take the mediator role, most definitely, to the point where it's like you're only going to talk to me individually, but so long. It's just enough for me to be able to analyze the issue and come up with a solution. Because the very next thing I'm going to ask y'all to do is sit down and talk to each other. Because you ain't going to be sitting here talking to me that long about the other one. Absolutely not. Just enough, but not too much. But then once you guys sit down and talk it out and come to some sort of agreement or solution, that's my goal, to make sure that's what we do. That's what we get to, you know? So it's pretty simple for me.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I just try to like. I think I tend to take a more like passive aggressive approach to trying to make them come together.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm usually the friend that'll be like, oh, I invited y'all both to the same place at the same time. What? Silly me.
They be doing that on reality TV shows. They be like, oh, hey, come, let's hang out. And then next thing you know, so I gotta tell you something. I also invited such and such. They'll be
Hmm.
in 2 minutes. Ambush.
Exactly. Or I be trying to find middle grounds and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, yeah, like we all like to talk about uh chess, like, so let me throw this chess party Saturday, and we all will. That sounds interesting, right? Like, I don't know, I feel like I try to find ways to like remind people of why they're friends, you know.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Hmm.
Going back to the foundation.
Yeah, I think that tends to works, especially if you add like a little like alcohol in it, not too much, but a little alcohol in a blunt, and then it becomes like usually like most females, like if they really into it with friends that they really love and care about, if you give them
Mm-hmm.
a couple shots, they'll start crying and confessing their heart, and
Yeah,
like
that's if
yeah.
they're like that. You gotta know what type of drunk they is. They're like,
Yeah,
unless they're the angry drunk, and you don't want to do that. You can't use that tactic then.
yeah, I don't even be around them types, for real. I don't
Okay.
be around angry drunk friends. I don't got time.
Yeah. Okay, so what if they end up falling out anyway? No matter your effort, they end up falling out anyway, and now you want to remain friends with
Hmm.
them both. They both still love you, but they're not friends with each other anymore. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think at that point I just usually accept it. um yeah, like once I try to rekindle things and like I just see that it's just not happening,
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, just kind of accept that it's two separate friendships now, and respect their boundaries.
Everyone say hello. Susie baby.
Yeah, I gotta kick her out.
Featuring Brownie. um,
Okay.
so okay, so now we move on to the next part. This is a big one, to be honest. When a friend is in a toxic relationship, right? So you see red flags in a relationship, but bringing it up might cause tension. How can you offer protection and concern without being seen as judgmental or overstepping?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I was fighting for my life with Brownie.
Yeah. Um, a friend is in a toxic relationship. So you see the red flags, um, but bringing it up might cause tension. Uh, what did I say? Oh yeah, how can you offer protection and concern without being seen as judgmental or overstepping?
Personally, I'm very big on not giving like unsolicited advice,
Mm-hmm.
especially to friends that I can't like. Usually, when I'm giving friends relationships advice, is because we've established like transparent enough bond to be able to do that. Like once you kind of show me that you can't handle that type of bond, I just tend to mind my business for real. Like I ain't gonna lie to you, yeah. Unless it somehow directly harms me or affects me, I tend to just like whatever, mind my business.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to do that for myself because I think it's because I have that empathy, I guess, to where I care about my friend deeply and I don't want her to go through things. So if she goes through things and she's not taking, my advice or not feeling good about how I'm interjecting in her relationship, I'm just going to take it as she doesn't value my friendship. you know you just don't value it because I'm caring. Like, I think there is a certain obligation to interject in something that is causing you harm. Like, you know what I'm saying? If it's causing you harm, I have to say something. I have to get you to see that this is not some behavior you should be accepting. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a part of protecting them. And I feel like if we're friends, you kind of have to accept protection from me. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of have to accept that. Or I feel like our friendship isn't that deep. And why would I want to be friends with someone who I can't, or they would feel crazy about me wanting to protect them? Like, you know what I mean? Um, if you come to me and say, well, I love him and it's okay if he hits me every now and then, I will step back from you because that is not something that I want us to perpetuate in our friend group. That's not something that I want to perpetuate for women at all. If we're going to be having children and little girls and little boys, like, I don't want that to seep into the next generation, because now I'm going to have to start looking at you as you probably just need more time to kind of, figure out your life and figure out the type of life you want, the type of experience that you want to have. But then I can't be friends with you if that's something that you are just okay with. And I can't protect you, and now you're mad at me because I'm trying to say something to you. Yeah, no. Now we're just not going to be friends. And you can have that,
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it. I guess I'm very dogmatic in that way.
Um, I think I'm just really good at like compartmentalizing people, and I think like the people that I have don't have those super transparent bonds with, I usually don't end up being close with them anyway.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
usually, like, because that's a deeper issue. Like I feel like each situation has a deeper underlying principle that's going to play out in other areas of life. So I think with that, for example, is like a lack of receptivity.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
if a
Yeah.
friend has a lack of receptivity, 9 times out of 10, in my experience, it may be with it'll in one situation it'll be like when listening, when you're giving them advice about their toxic relationship. In another situation, it will be, when they've overstepped your boundaries and you're expressing that to them and they don't listen. And
Mm-hmm.
another situation, like it tends to play out in different areas to the point where I
Right.
really don't want to fuck with this person anyways.
Right.
Um, so yeah, even when I haven't consciously did it, I usually end up growing apart from friends like that anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. So, yeah.
Especially because, like, being a Venus and Aquarius, like, once I feel like I can't talk to you about anything, um, I just slowly don't want to talk to you. Like, why would I talk to you when I gotta like sugarcoat shit or like cherry pick only certain little things that I can say when I could talk to somebody that I could talk to about anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah. So slowly but surely, we're gonna end up talking less and less and less and less and less and less
Right.
until
Right.
one day you look up and you're like, oh, girl, we haven't seen each other in 3 years. Like, let's catch up. And I'm like, yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So phony. Yeah,
Exactly.
like, I think in general, especially if I feel strongly, I'm most definitely going to just come out and just, to the best of my ability, say what my issue is, as to why the flame fizzled away. Like, you know what I'm saying? And just let you know, like, I just don't appreciate this. I don't appreciate this. And I take things personally. If I'm trying to help you and you don't accept it, taking it personally. Okay? I'm
Yeah.
that.
Nah, I think it should be like when you, because they probably gonna make it personal anyways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like their problems, especially when you really close to a person, like their problems tend to end up being your problems as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, oh, don't speak about my man. You just mad because you ain't got no man. Like,
yeah,
what?
especially when they start doing shit like that, it's like, yeah, I don't got time.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we're not friends.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, 6, friendship burnout. I think this is a really, really good one, especially when we're talking about uh, gaining new friends, right? We're circling back to gaining new friends. You're always the one reaching out, planning, and emotionally supporting, but not receiving the same energy. How can we establish balance and mutual effort in our friendships? So I think this is really the case of what kind of friend do you want? A high maintenance friend, low maintenance friend? Because we definitely had this. There was a conversation going on about this a while ago. Um, so, what is your thoughts on the high maintenance versus low maintenance friend and the unequal energy output of the friendship?
Mm, I think I definitely prefer like a medium friendship. Like
Mm-hmm.
I expect like effort, consistency, support, but I'm not necessarily like I know some people are real funny acting and very particular about certain shit. But hmm, I guess it's subjective because I don't know. I guess some of the things that I have might be considered high maintenance. Like for example, I have a pet peeve where I don't like when I feel like if I don't reach out to you, then we just would never talk. You
Mm-hmm.
know? So sometimes I actually, which is kind of petty, I don't like when people text people, but at the same time, I slightly hypocritical of me. Like sometimes I'll just stop talking to somebody. I'll stop texting them. I'll stop calling them, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just see like how long it takes them to reach out to me. You know,
Yeah.
because I don't like feeling like because first of all, I even start to feel like I'm imposing myself if I'm constantly reaching out to you. And
Mm-hmm.
I start thinking, oh, like damn, maybe I'm the only one that wants to consistently communicate this much, and they're feeling like, oh my gosh, it's this bitch again, you know, and they just too nice to say it. So
Yeah.
I fall back, you know. Um, but yeah, I also don't like. I have a very big thing where I don't like to see. Like I try to gauge based off of people's support level within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had friends that are like they're smoke buddies, they're
Mm-hmm.
chill, they're whatever, but I just know they're not for certain things. They're not gonna be that friend that, you know, comes to the birthday dinner and brings a bottle of champagne and da-da-da. Like that's just not their personality. They don't even have birthday dinners for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus the friend that like I think I told you about this. I had a friend that like when I invited her somewhere, she would show up empty handed. But every time she went to other people's functions, it was like, oh, let me stop and get a bottle of wine. I don't want to come empty handed. And I'm like, bitch, your hands was empty than a motherfucker when you came to my shit. Now you wanna oh wow, that's weird. Mm-hmm. I don't fuck with her no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
That is so funny. But yeah, I
Yeah.
would definitely, again, looking at people's behaviors and allowing their behaviors to tell you how they truly feel about you. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like in the subconscious, beyond what they say. You know what I'm saying? I think I had a situation where I guess I would call this high maintenance, where again, I'm more of an introvert, so I tend to attract extroverted people. And if I like you enough, then I can talk to you every day. But if I don't like you that much, like, can we talk like once a week or something? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm dead.
Because I feel like nothing happened between yesterday to today for us to even talk about. Like, you know? But again, that's for certain people. I think there are certain VIP people who could talk to me every day. Wink, wink. So, I think there was this time where this girl, I had a friendship with this girl. We ended up falling out because I was telling her, like, or breaking down to her how she continuously breaks my boundaries or oversteps my boundaries. Because I told her after 11, I don't want to talk or be on the phone because I'm spending time with my boo thing. You know what I mean? It's me and man time. I don't really want to talk to you. And she consistently called me after that time and then would act like it's an emergency because I told her, you know, if it's an emergency, sure. So she ended up always acting like, oh my God, I have to talk to you right now. And then I would call her and it would be nothing. And
I hate that.
doing that a lot. And I was just like, so there was one day I just was fed up and I sat there and I broke down the days that she, you know, my Virgo mind, the way that the way she did it, the days that she did it, what she spoke about, how she made it seem like it was an emergency when it wasn't. And I kept saying it. I'm like, you did it ever since I said it. I said it twice. And after that, you did it 4 or 5 more times, you know, and I find that you're not caring or considerate enough to, you know, care about my boundaries. And she was just like, oh, well, I didn't know that you hated me that much.
I'm
And
dead.
and you know what? It's fine. She ended up blocking me and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? She ended up blocking me, you know, taking a group of mine, you know, and acting like she was me. So yeah, it was a very
Wow.
interesting thing where I can't handle people who do not know how to take accountability. I take every issue with a friendship the same way I take issues in a relationship. I don't think that we're going to break up because I'm telling you something that's causing me stress. I'm thinking that I'm telling you this so that we can come to an understanding and we can fix it moving forward. Like any relationship, I see my friends as just as valuable, just as important. So I'm treating it the same. Like we're having a discussion. It's not a happy discussion, but it's a needed discussion. And I'm thinking we're gonna move past it. She was just
Right. Exactly. I don't like that type of shit. I do not like that type of shit, bro. I can't
yeah.
stand it, especially when the person like victimizes themselves, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because I
Yeah.
just feel like it creates like it's like a especially potent type of disrespect, you know? So
Yeah.
I have a very low tolerance for that. And that reminds me of like this girl I watched like on YouTube or whatever, and she was talking about how like a lot of times her relationships, like her friendships and stuff, felt very one sided because she felt like she had more emotional intelligence than her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So it created like it was like the relationship was very high maintenance for her,
Mm-hmm.
but the friend probably didn't think it was that high maintenance. Like, you know how some people is like they're just going around happy and bliss because they're not paying attention to
Mm-hmm.
important details.
Yeah.
Versus if you're the person who is paying attention and is considerate and is aware, like situations feel a lot deeper to you than it feels to the other person, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing I have a very low tolerance for. I don't like when me and my friends don't have the same idea of depth, to where a
Right.
person does something and I'm pissed clean the fuck off and they're just like, oh, it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, girl, like, yo, I got stories for days. I got stories for days. Like, I
Yeah.
had a friend who stole my weed, bro. She went into my house, went into my room, went through my drawer, took out the last of my weed, rolled it up, and sent a picture of her holding the blunt in her hand, like, oh yeah, you know, thanks for the blunt or some shit. And she meant it as like a jokey joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I'm like, this shit's not funny, I'm about to kill you. Like, you know, I didn't say it like that. But it's like that's not funny. I would never do that. Like
Right.
I don't care how I feel like if a friend entrusts me with that much closeness to where they're able to access my space when I'm not there, I feel like a heavier responsibility to respect that space. I don't feel to take advantage of that closeness and be like, oh, well, I can just ramble through her shit and take what I want. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah.
really fucking weird.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, we only have one more thing to do before we go, and we're gonna have to go because my battery's dying. So sorry about that. But yeah,
Damn.
one thing. So for the last thing, it's not really a question, but it's more so of coming up with a new rule to add to the girl code, right? So one rule or principle that you think we as Black women should uphold in sisterhood. So do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You could go first. I'm thinking.
Okay, okay. So I believe that ultimately, girl code, the principle is to honor your friendships as much as you honor your romantic relationships. Apply the same amount of empathy, consideration, and respect for boundaries that you would for your man. Like, your man or your woman or whomever you want to be with, right? I think that there shouldn't be a lesser value or lack of depth for friendships. Women should not utilize women as placeholders until you find a man. Um, I think that you should look at your friendships and treat them as if they are romantic relationships with the same conviction, the same respect, the same honor. Because then there would be more accountability and more empathy for if you were to cross boundaries, if you were to, like I said, be in someone's space and they entrust you to be there, they entrust you to be around their man when they're not around. Like there should be more trust, and the only way to cultivate more trust within friendships is if you were to place the same value on it as you do with your significant other. So that's a principle that I would like to add on. You know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like every principle that I'm trying to think of kind of like, I feel like that would really sum it up,
Mm,
because I feel like most of the problems that I've seen in these friendships have been because of people not respecting them as much as they do romantic relationships. Um,
mm-hmm.
hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and I think people have more of a desire for their romantic relationships to last forever. Like, with the whole concept of marriage and everything. But with women, it's kind of like last long. And I feel like I want us to go to ancient days where we actually had a blood bond. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like in Woman King, where it's like, a little blood. We are this forever. Like, I think it should be like that.
Yeah, I think maybe this kind of goes hand in hand, but I think like reintroducing purpose to friendships, because I feel like a lot of friendships, like I feel like a lot of friends I've noticed feel like the sisterhood bond or the emotional bond is lost when you start requiring more of your friends, even in their own personal productivity. Like once you start holding a friend accountable,
Mm-hmm.
once you start pushing a friend to achieve the goals they said they wanted to achieve, once you like, because I've always been that friend that I will follow up with you real quick if we sit here and talk about, oh girl, we should start a YouTube channel. And I'm like, yeah, we should. And then a week later, I come to you like, hey, I got some video ideas. I got some da 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 da. If you
Mm-hmm.
want, I can make the. Oh, girl, I was just talking. Blocked. Like, I feel like, if we say, oh, we're going to go to the gym, like, I'm going to call you and I'm going to harass you. And if you cannot handle that, then, then like, we don't need to be friends. So
Yeah.
I think like reintroducing purpose
Mm-hmm.
and like holding each other accountability and productivity into friendships is very important to me.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose, productivity, and accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Girl code.
I love it. I love it. And you know, I think that, you know, that was really good. I'm glad that you was able to come on today and share that with us. And I'm hoping that everyone watching this takes these principles and applies them. You know what I mean? Take these principles and apply. Hi, Lady Libra. You know, so again, I appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, with the throne room, we are here to create solutions for our community. So make sure that the things that we say and that we declare here, you are taking in and applying as you move through life. Okay, this is not just some frivolous conversation that we just sit and cackle all day. We're doing this to make sure we're creating new guidelines and principles for us to be able to become and be better as people and as a community. So make sure you're placing value on the things that we say. So I feel like today we definitely brought in a lot of things, and yeah, I think we'll be able to do great moving forward. So thanks everybody for coming. Thank you, Angel, for coming in and providing your insight and wisdom. I truly appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me. Monet, everybody.
Yes. Yes. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good night. And remember to worship the Yoni.
Mm-hmm.
Much
Don't
love.
forget.
Bye.